Karl, we heard the president talk about a lot of programs that he wants, things like innovation centers for American manufacturing, that kind of thing. But he says all of this will not add one dime to the federal deficit. Do you buy that?
No, I don't. It was interesting. The president didn't talk many numbers in his speech, and the White House briefing sheets on this didn't have much in the way of information. But there are three numbers. The president's infrastructure program is $50 billion. His Project Rebuild, that's to rehabilitate or demolish 100,000 vacant or damaged buildings, $15 billion. $1 billion for those manufacturing centers. But look at the rest of these things to which no price tag was attached in the speech or in the White House briefing papers. Subsidies, more subsidies for wind, solar, and geothermal energy. Research for electric, biofuel, and natural gas cars. Redesign America's high schools. A new mortgage relief program, a new foreign aid initiatives, research for brain disease and clean energy, and universal preschool. Now, these are expensive. I mean, this last one alone, the president's favorite liberal think tank, the Center for American Progress, issued a proposal a few days ago foreshadowing the president's mention of it in the State of the Union, and said it would cost $25 billion a year when fully operating. So we're talking about $100 billion a year in additional spending if the president's proposals are enacted, and we're a deficit. We don't have the money for it, and the question is, can we afford it as a country?
But you heard, especially with regard to that universal daycare kind of thing, universal pre-kindergarten kind of thing, the president said that for every dollar you spend on that kind of a program, you get something like $14 back.
Well, that's how we justify everything. The president justified the stimulus by saying if we spent money on the stimulus, $800 and some odd billion, that it would grow the economy. Look, we have tried this idea that we can spend our way to prosperity for 4 years. Unemployment rate is higher than it was today than it was when the president began in office. The deficit is a heck of a lot bigger. We got much more in the way of obligations. This progressive idea, this liberal idea that we can spend our way to prosperity has not been borne out in the anemic economic growth and job creation numbers we've had for the last 4 years.
I want to get your reaction to one thing he said in particular when he was talking about the upcoming sequester, a program which he blamed on the Congress that was in session in 2011, wanting to cut $1 trillion from the budget if we couldn't come up with cuts elsewhere. Listen.
These sudden, harsh, arbitrary cuts would jeopardize our military readiness. They devastate priorities like education and energy and medical research. They would certainly slow our recovery and cost us hundreds of thousands of jobs. And that's why Democrats, Republicans, business leaders, and economists have already said that these cuts, known here in Washington as the sequester, are a really bad idea.
The president would have us believe, I guess, that he had no role in that really bad idea.
Yeah, well, three things. First of all, it was his idea. If it's a bad idea, it's his bad idea that he insisted on in the budget discussions in July of 2011. If he doesn't like it, it's his idea. The second thing is what's his plan to avoid the idea? The House Republicans have already passed twice legislation that would replace these across-the-board haircuts in domestic and defense spending with thoughtful, smart cuts. And the Senate has refused to take it up, and the president has yet to provide a proposal. He can lecture Congress all he likes. I thought there was an interesting exchange the other day between CBO Director Douglas Elmendorf and Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi, in which Senator Wicker said, now, what are you going to price out? What's the price tag going to be on the president's proposal to avoid the sequestration? And Elmendorf said, we don't have a proposal from the president. And Wicker said, well, I guess you can't figure out what a speech is going to cost. You have to have a proposal, and the administration has yet to provide a proposal. I think this is plain, look, this is a bad idea, but it was the president's bad idea. Absent this bad idea, however, the question is, are we going to make any progress on beginning to restore our fiscal balance? The president last night said, oh, we've already cut $2.5 billion out of future deficits, $2.5 trillion out of future deficits, putting us more than halfway to our goal of $4 trillion in cuts. I've been talking today to budget experts on the Hill who tell me the real number is closer to $500 billion, less than 1/5 of what the president said last night in his speech, that the real budget cuts, the real deficit reduction in the next 10 years is 1/5 of what the president was saying last night.